This is a place for planting, for digging, for harvesting, for relaxing. It's a place to get your hands dirty, but most of all, it's about having fun. And that's what you'll always have when you're in the garden with Doug Oster. You want a green thumb too, don't you? Oh, what a beautiful spring day we have to film. Now, there's a lot of things you can be doing this time of the year, playing golf, gardening. Well, today we're going to combine the two. Well, not every garden can use golf clubs to support their peas, but it works for the motif here. We like to call this garden not shabby chic, but just shabby. Our first job of the day is going to be moving some perennials, which have popped up again in the vegetable garden, but we want to get them out into the ornamental garden, and this is the perfect time to be moving perennials. Well, I might sound like a broken record to you, but this is my favorite perennial. It's called Corydalis lutea, and look, it's starting to bloom right now. And last year it bloomed all the way through to Christmas. And so you have a plant that comes back on its own year after year that will bloom for this long time. It forms, as you can see, a colony. It escaped into my vegetable garden after only 2 years. And I love this plant so much, but I want this bed here for vegetables. And so I'm going to move these out of here. Perfect time of the year to do it, as I said before. And we're going to move them into all over the garden, actually. And so we're going to get as much of it as we can. This plant is so tough, though. We're just going to pry a little bit out of here, leave room for other things. And there's a nice little clump right there. And that'll move really nicely. And I got a lot more here to do. Nice when it's growing in good compost like that, easy to come out. All right, we have a lot of Corydalis to move. What do you guys think? Before we get out of this garden though, check out these tulips. It's the only place I can grow them because it's fenced in to keep the deer out. These are called Angelique tulips, and I saw them for the first time 20 years ago at Fellows Riverside Garden in Youngstown. That's a place that you should visit, and I just love them. And when they're done, we're going to have tomatoes here. Well, it's going to be good to have this space for vegetables. I need that. And look at how many plants I got. This is a ton of plants. And we're going to start off by putting them into some containers here. Because it has such a long bloom time, this plant is suited for containers. It will bloom longer than annuals. And so I'm going to put them along the edge, and then when things warm up, I'll put something in the middle. This will be my spiller. I'll put a thriller in there. We won't really have a filler. And boy, I got lots of plants. And after I fill up these containers, I'll go back in that perennial garden and throw a few of those in. Then meet me back in the vegetable garden. We're continuing with our planting of cool weather crops, but we're also continuing by putting them in containers. If you don't have a garden, that's a good way to do it. And even if you do have a garden, that's a great way to do it too. Well, the other day I was eating dinner next to a box store, and I saw some couples over there buying tomato plants and pepper plants, and I had to bite my tongue, and I wanted to yell over, "Don't do it! It's too early. You know, we can get frost all the way through May." It might not happen, but it usually does. And we've been talking a lot about growing cool weather crops like these greens. We've got some lettuce and kale and pak choi and Swiss chard. And if you don't have room in your vegetable garden, or have a small vegetable garden, or in my case, love growing in containers, or want to grow these closer to the house, these plants love containers. And so these things are made out of a fabric. They're called bloom bags. And they're really cool, and we're just going to fill them up with this cool weather crop, and maybe some over there too, and get them planted. I think Swiss chard will be good for in here. All right, I'm going to get some water on these, and meet me in the greenhouse. We have a little bit of thinning to do, and this is the exact time we need to do it. Well, 65 degrees outside, 75 degrees inside and rising. Very common when we start seeds like this. You're just going to get too many in each container. This is a tomato called Matthew. I have a son named Matthew. That's the only reason I'm growing it. I don't know anything else about it except the name. Real important when you're splitting things up, you know what's what. This is some Italian large-leaf basil, and this is a cheating tomato. How do you like that? That should be ready and ripe in about, I don't know, 2 weeks. As I said, that's one of the good things about having a greenhouse. And I like to split these up when they're really small like this. They don't seem to mind it at all. And I've got 3 of them right in here. And I'm just going to kind of take that out. And there we have it. And now just kind of gently split them apart and put them in here. And they don't even know that it's happening. They're going to be very happy. I don't think that's a tomato, but... All right, I'm going to split up these basil next, and we're going to finish up actually back out in the vegetable garden. Well, it is a good feeling to be harvesting this stuff that we overwintered. Greens, lettuce, all sorts of different things here. Now, check me out online. That's where you can find all sorts of other garden stories, blog posts, videos, and how to be part of my Seed of the Month Club. Until next week, there's certainly plenty to do, but we are going to be enjoying one very special salad tonight. We'll see you then.